Accounting is a wonderful subject that is a lot simpler than most people realize. Once upon a time, the system of double entry that we use today was invented in the 15th century by the Venetian merchants. Luca Pacioli is known as the father of accounting because he was the first person to document this very clever way of recording their very valuable transactions. So how does it work? Well, imagine that you were a Venetian trader and you want to buy a ship. Your ship is going to cost you 50 gold florins. However, you only have 30 gold florins to use. What can you do? The logical thing, of course, would be to borrow those 20 gold florins in those days from the Medici family, who were the wealthy bankers of the time. Can you see that your ship or your asset had to be financed from a combination of your own money or equity and your liabilities, what you owe to others? This is known as the accounting equation and is the basis of all the accounting that we do. So the Italian merchants looked at this and they said, well, if all the money that we've got had to come from somewhere, either borrowed or liabilities that we owe to others, maybe we should put these on opposite sides of the page. So we'll use the left-hand side of the page for the stuff that belongs to us and the right-hand side of the page for the things that we owe either to the owner or to others. That makes a lot of sense. We can see this as what we own and what we owe. Except for one problem. The Italians obviously did not speak English. So they would have spoken Italian, which originated from Latin. And in the 15th century, there was still a lot of Latin flying around. So what are these terms in these languages? Well, the verb for to own something or to have somebody owe something to you is debitum or debere. And the verb for to owe to somebody else is creditum or credere. Can you see where this is going? Yep, that's where our debits and credits come from. And if you ever wondered why debit has an abbreviation with an R in it of DR, well, it's from the Italian debere. There's an R there. So these Venetian merchants looked at this and they said, well, this is a very nice way of doing things. We'll put things here when they increase. And obviously, when they decrease, we'll simply reverse it and put it on the other side. And that's how we use our debits and credits. If you are doing your accounting exercises, the easiest thing to do is at the top of your page, write down your accounting equation for yourself. Once you've got that there, put the T on top of it to show how you're going to record transactions when assets or equity and liabilities are increasing. If it helps, you could go a little bit further and show that your assets go plus minus and your equities and liabilities go minus plus. Keep in mind at all times that your equity has a number of accounts that either increase or decrease equity. So you've got to look at them a little bit carefully. All of your equity accounts, you need to ask yourself, does this account make equity bigger, like capital and the incomes, or do they make equity smaller, like drawings and expenses, which you would then put on the debit side to show that the equity is decreasing? So let's have a look at the general ledger accounts as some examples. I would always go and set them up before I start recording my transactions. Look, for example, at bank. What kind of account is bank? Well, it is usually an asset. And since we know that assets increase on the debit side, you can put a plus on the debit side and a minus on the credit side, or the left and right if you prefer. That means that we can now easily see when we receive money, we will put it on the debit side, and when we are paying money, we will credit bank. If we look at an account like loan, loan is a liability. It will therefore have a minus on the left and a plus on the right. As the loan gets bigger, we will credit the account, and as the loan gets smaller when we pay it off, we will debit the account. If we look at sales, sales is an income account that affects equity. Equity goes minus plus. But remember, I said to you, you need to ask yourself, what does sales do to equity? Well, any income is going to make the business richer, and therefore you can circle the plus side to show that you would usually credit the sales account. An account like wages would have been also an equity, but it goes minus plus. It's an expense, and so therefore you would circle the minus, because the more wages the Venetian merchant has to pay to his ship crew, the poorer he is going to be. I do hope that that helps you to understand your debits and credits a little bit better, and this will form the basis of everything else that you do. Go well.